Good morning, everyone. Great morning, I should say. My name is Janine Tarana, and I'm going to be your guide over the next 3 days. I'm so excited to have you all here. And before we get started, I just want to take care of a few housekeeping items. First of all, if you have any questions, you can feel free to drop that in the chat. I want this to be interactive as much as possible, even though we're here on Zoom. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. And I know some of you asked about the Facebook group, so not to worry. If you haven't been added yet, you will be added, and we will have some fun in the Facebook group. And also, I wanted to let you guys know that there will be an opportunity for one or two of you to get some one-on-one coaching in front of the group. If you feel comfortable with that and that's something you'd like to take on, please send me an email. You can just reply to the emails you've been getting. It's Janine at thesingersblueprint.com, and send me an email and let me know you're interested. And I'll see if I can get you on Saturday so we can do some one-on-one coaching in front of the group. And I think it's great for those who are getting coached. It's also great for those who are watching because, a lot of times we struggle with the same things vocally, right? So we can really learn a lot from watching someone else get coached. And also if you're the one getting coached, then good for you. Way to jump in. Now, I also want to acknowledge you guys for being here today. So it really takes something to take a step towards your dreams. We spend a lot of time thinking about it, wishing, hoping, wondering what to do. But here you are taking action, and that's a huge step and not to be taken lightly. A lot of people will just sit on their couch and never take action, right? So you're in probably one of the 3% that are actually doing something towards your goal. And this is a course I've been wanting to offer for a long time, just a 3-day, power-packed course that gives you a little kickstart, a little boost towards your goals. So congratulations for being here. Pat yourself on the back. Yes. Awesome. And not only did you sign up, but you showed up. So even better. Some people will sign up and they will not come. That's okay. You're here. Wonderful. And this event is being recorded because some people are not able to join the live broadcast and they will be watching this later. And that's just fine too. That's the way I set it up because I know we're in Eastern time zone. Actually, I'm in Central time zone, but you're in Eastern. And some people that are in Pacific time are going to want to watch this probably a little later. And that's great. Very good. Okay. Now, you probably have no idea what to expect today, and that's perfect. I'm going to go over the agenda for today, so that way you know what's coming, and you'll be a little more prepared for that. So I'm going to put my screen share on just so I can show you some slides here. Yay, get your voice together. So this challenge is designed, like I said, to just give you a little kick start into, great vocals. Vocal mastery is, of course, what we're all after, right? And how do we get there? We just take steps towards our goal. And we're going to talk about goals today. So this is going to be a huge step for you. Whoops, we went too far. Vocal health. We're going to talk about vocal health. This is the most important thing we can talk about because we want to have good habits when it comes to taking care of our voice. This is what we rely on when we're singing. So we're going to go over that. We're going to go over the do's and don'ts. We're going to go over foods that help and hinder, sleep, hydration, when to seek professional help, and singing with colds or allergies. These things can be annoying, but we're going to talk about, when to see a doctor. We're also going to go over mindset. And this is almost as important as vocal health, because if we don't have the right mindset, then what are we even doing? We can really be our worst enemy or our greatest cheerleader, right? And I'm sure you've experienced that in many facets of your life. So we're going to talk about mindset and get the mindset right for singing. Singing is a lot of mental work. I know it seems like a physical activity, it definitely is, but if your head isn't right, you're never going to achieve your goals. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about goals. So a lot of times we don't know where to begin, right? We don't know where we're going even. So we're going to talk about goal setting. We're going to set some goals. We're going to talk about baby steps towards those goals. We're going to get you started. And then we're going to talk about crossing the finish line. So that's just a little overview of what we're doing today. All right, great. Before we get into all that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. So you might be wondering, who is this person who's in front of you today, and why is she, offering this challenge, and what's going on in her world? So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and I was painfully shy as a kid. I loved to sing, though. I couldn't explain it. I didn't want to sing in front of people, but I sang all day long. I used to dream about being a singer. I used to dream that I got kidnapped, and the guys who kidnapped me heard me sing, and they were like, "Oh my God, she's going to be a star." So this is a dream that I had since I was a small child. But my family was very religious. Okay, I was in the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with that religion, but at the time, I'm not sure what the beliefs are now, but you weren't really allowed to be a singer. And, you know, that wasn't an option for me as a kid. I remember I got a role as a nun in The Sound of Music when I was in fourth grade. And I came home and told my mom, and I was so excited. And she made me go back the next day and tell them I couldn't play a nun. I couldn't do that. So I had to forego my role. I was so devastated. So there wasn't a lot of support. And I tell you this for a reason. We didn't have a lot of money. I wasn't able to take voice lessons. And I remember at one point I told my mom I wanted to go to a performing arts high school. I thought that would be amazing. And she said, "Honey, singers use drugs." And that was the end of that conversation. So why do I tell you this? I don't tell you this so you feel sorry for me. I tell you this because it didn't ultimately matter. I had a vision. I had a purpose. I knew it. Nothing anyone said could change my mind. And that's how we think as kids, right? We think we're going to do this thing. We don't really let people affect us so much. And that changes sometimes when we're adults. We lose that tenacity. So to carry on with the story, we left the religion when I was 13, and I was able to then join the show choir. I was allowed to be in musicals. I was in musicals in high school. I joined a rock band. And again, when I was 17, I told my mom I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to go to college for music. Let me just flip this slide here. Great. So there's a little bit about me. So I told her I wanted to be a singer, and I applied to college. I applied to the University of Buffalo, and they rejected me. So they had a column for special circumstances, special talent. So I wrote a letter. Now in high school, I was a smart kid, but I did not apply myself. I had a lot of personal things going on in my family that really, kind of brought me down, and I didn't apply myself. I wasn't interested in school, but I really wanted to go to college. So I wrote a letter. I applied for special talent, and I had an audition. So I got a coach for this audition, and let me tell you, it was one of the scariest times of my life. Right before I went into my audition, a woman was singing before me in this glorious opera voice, and it filled the auditorium. And I thought, "Oh my God, I have to audition after this woman." I went running down the hall. I was terrified, but my mom came and got me. She's like, come on, you are going in there. So I went in, I had the audition. I ended up getting into this college. And I found out that the woman before me was auditioning for her master's degree. So she wasn't auditioning for the same thing I was. And I learned something that day. You know, it's really not fair to compare yourself to others. Everyone's at a different place. So when you're studying voice, I suggest, you know, they say stay in your own lane. Don't look left to right, look front to back. See how far you've come. Don't compare yourself. We don't know what other people's journeys are. We don't know where they're at, how much training they've had, all those things, right? We just only can keep track of ourselves, set personal goals, right? So that's one thing I really learned. I ended up getting into that college. And I tell you that story for two reasons. I got rejected first, and then I got in. So sometimes no is just not right now, right? We take the no's in stride and we keep going. So fast forward a little farther. There you go. I had wanderlust. I was a little defiant, but I had a vision and a strong calling. I found a way and I got a coach. Okay. So my first singing job was at 19 at a place called Fantasy Island. And I worked at a lot of different amusement parks during college. Over the summer, I would audition for different amusement parks. And one year of college, I believe it was my third year, an audition for Disney came up. The Voices of Liberty. It's an a cappella ensemble that was singing at Epcot before the Hall of Presidents. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a pretty awesome thing. There's an 8-person ensemble that sings a cappella, and it's glorious. So it's a very well respected job. I went to this audition and hundreds of women were there. And I'll never forget it. I was number 118. I had a little sticker on my shirt that said 118. I got 2 bars into my audition, which is not very long. It's about 15 seconds when they said, thanks. That was it. I was cut off. I was devastated. I cried. I beat myself up, but I didn't quit. I kept studying with my coach. I kept auditioning for other shows. I got other jobs. Okay, I didn't get that one. But 3 years later, I auditioned for them again. I almost didn't go to this audition. They rejected me once. I thought, why would I put myself through that again? But I was different. And I got the job that time. I was one of 4 women to get hired that day out of hundreds. So why do I tell you this? We will face rejection. We will be criticized. We will keep going. So you have to have a certain amount of tenacity and really take what people say with a grain of salt, whether it's somebody you're auditioning for, whether it's something, you know, someone that tells you something like singing is hard, or being a singer is hard, or you don't sing very well. Whatever it is, don't pay any attention to what other people say. Fast forward, I moved to New York City. I released 5 albums. I toured the US and Europe. I sang in cruise ships, nightclubs, bars, restaurants, TV, theater. I even got to sing in an arena a few times. I was on the Food Network. I have music on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Pandora. I just recently moved to Nashville. I released a single last week. So I just want to tell you that because I am very much in the game with you. I'm very much a singer, but I also love teaching and coaching people. And I've been doing it for several years. So I feel that's part of my calling as well, is to help people just like you learn to sing and become the singer that you always dreamed of. You'll also notice that I still have a coach. I actually have a few different coaches for different aspects of my career. And I stress this because it's so important. If we don't have anyone stretching us and teaching us the next steps, how can we take them, right? Just think about that for a minute. And on Saturday, you're going to learn more about what I offer as a coach. I'm going to offer that to you. So don't be offended when we talk about that on Saturday. All right. We'll talk more about that later, but that's a bit about my journey. And we're going to talk about mindset in a little while. But first, let's shift gears for a minute and let's talk about your vocal health. Okay. And again, if you have any questions as we go along or anything you want to comment upon, just feel free to drop that in the chat. And let's talk about vocal health. So there's some things you probably already know about vocal health, and there's some things maybe you don't know. So hopefully this will just give you some practical information that you can carry with you. Our voice is attached to our body, which makes it a little tricky, right? Some days we wake up and we're singing great. Some days we wake up and we're like, what the heck is happening here? So we want to make sure that we optimize our vocal health. We have to be diligent and aware of what's going on, so we know what's helping us and what's going to hinder us. All right, so sleep. This is the first thing I bring up because it's really, really important. Now, everybody's different, of course, but for me, if I don't have more than 6 hours sleep, I can feel it vocally. I start to feel a little raspy. I start to feel tired vocally. My voice doesn't move the way I want it to move. So I try to get at least 6 hours sleep a night. I would say, check in with your body, but if you're having troubles vocally and you're not sleeping a lot, that could be connected. So you might want to focus on getting more sleep, and I bet you your voice will thank you for it. Next, we're going to look at alcohol. Now, I drink socially. Many of us do. If I have a singing performance coming up, though, I will not drink the night before, and I won't drink the day of. Now, alcohol won't do permanent damage to your voice, but it does dry your vocal cords out, and it does affect the way they perform. If you're drinking the same day as your performance, we see these people who drink, they have a drink in their hand and they're singing, right? That looks really cool. But I'm the person with if I have a drink, it's water. Water. When I'm done singing, then I drink, okay? It's a celebration. But I don't drink before a performance. I don't drink the day before the performance. I just know that my voice doesn't respond well when I have had alcohol the night before or the day of. So that's something to be aware of. You might not have thought about that before, but I would say don't drink the day of, don't drink the day before. That brings us to our next point, which is water. Many of you, of course, more people are drinking water than ever, but if you're not drinking water, I would say, and you're having some vocal dryness or things like that, I would say up your water intake. I drink at least a quart of water a day. And people think, I could just take a couple sips, that's going to hydrate my vocal cords. But it takes about 4 hours for the water to hydrate the vocal cords systemically. So we want to be drinking water throughout the day, not just when we're singing. So I would say keep a water bottle next to you at all times. Just sip on it throughout the day. If you're already drinking water, perfect. That's really something that's very important for singers. Okay, let's go to the next step. Smoking or vaping of any kind. I used to smoke. I smoked in high school, probably the whole 4 years of high school. And I was singing alto, sometimes tenor. Okay, if you don't know what that means, alto is the low voice range for a female. Tenor is a male range. So I was singing really low. Smoking really affected my vocal cords in a way that it made my voice sound lower. It was very hard for me to hit higher notes. Once I got into college for music, I quit smoking and I never looked back. And as I was studying and my voice was recovering from that smoke, I became a soprano, and that's the higher voice range. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to affect everybody's voice the same way, but I know smoking kills your lung capacity. We need our lungs when we're singing. Vaping, it's better, but I still wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend vaping. I know vaping still affects your lungs. You're still inhaling something. And if you really are serious about singing, I would say eliminate it completely. Smoke that's marijuana, that's tobacco, whatever you're smoking or vaping, I would just say, don't do it. It's not worth it. Great. Yelling or talking loud in bars. Now, we don't have to worry about that so much right now because we're not really going to bars, but talking loudly in situations where you're talking over people, that can actually be, more stressful on your vocal cords than singing. So we want to be really careful when we're talking loud. Some of us just talk loud as a default. So you want to take a look if you're having some vocal issues or you're noticing your voice is tired before you even start singing. You might just be, abusing your vocal cords before you even start to sing. And that could be loud laughter as well. And of course, we have to live our life. We have to be the people that we are, but you just want to be conscious of that. If you're not having any vocal issues, then don't worry about that. You're probably speaking and laughing just fine. So let's take a quick look at acid reflux. And this is something that was completely off my radar for years until, a couple years ago when I started having some vocal problems that I could not explain, clearing my throat a lot, noticing that I was a little hoarse in the morning, noticing that my vocal cords felt thicker than usual. It seemed a little harder to move through notes than it had in the past. I was having some acid reflux, and I have been a coffee drinker all my life. Okay. Never bothered me, never caused me any problems, but it seemed like my stomach was getting a little more sensitive. And I had to address this issue of acid reflux. If you're having those types of problems, you're clearing your throat a lot, you're feeling like you have a lot of phlegm when you sing, you notice that it's harder to speak or sing in the morning, you might want to talk to your doctor about acid reflux. There's medicine you can take to control that. But I would recommend looking at your diet. If there's a lot of acidic beverages or foods in your diet, you might just be able to eliminate one or two of those, or just not eating as late at night. That will help to alleviate that acid reflux. Okay, cheese and dairy. This might sound ridiculous, but when I was studying voice in college, there were people that would not eat cheese. They wouldn't drink any dairy. Now that's really extreme in my opinion, and I don't really buy into that. However, if I'm singing, if I know I'm singing, in the evening, I might not have pizza for lunch or dinner. I probably won't drink a glass of milk. I won't have ice cream. Just things that I know will cause really excessive phlegm. And that would be the day of, maybe a few hours beforehand. Ice cream, milk, cheese, pizza, I would avoid those. But again, listen to your body. Some people avoid them completely. Some people can have them and have no problem. You just might get some extra phlegm, and you might not want that there. So be aware of that on the day that you're singing, or if you're going to be practicing, don't have a glass of milk before that. Coffee and caffeinated beverages. This is one of my favorite subjects because I love caffeine. I love coffee. I really, really, it's more than just, it definitely is a physical addiction that I'm that I'm working on. But I think I was born drinking coffee. It's just something that I love the smell of, I love the taste of, I love the ritual of. But we want to be careful about caffeinated beverages, okay? And that is because caffeine is a diuretic. It eliminates the fluids from our bodies. So if we're drinking tons of caffeine, we're going to notice that in our voice. And we just talked about hydrating, right, with water. If you're drinking caffeine, you're going to have to up your water intake because we want our voice to stay hydrated and be at optimal performance. So I would say keep the coffee and caffeinated beverages to a minimum, 1 or 2 cups a day, totally fine. But again, listen to your body. Caffeine also affects the flap that prevents the food and acid from coming back up our throat. It can numb that flap. And many people who suffer from reflux, it's because the caffeine is affecting that flap in the throat and causing that acid to come back up. So just be aware of that. You might be totally fine. But if you're having acid reflux, the first thing they're going to tell you to eliminate is coffee and caffeinated beverages. I drink a low acid coffee. It seems to help, but I still try to keep it to a minimum. Excellent. Warming up versus not warming up. Now, many times when I'm teaching students, I'll ask them, do you warm up before you sing? And most people will say, nah, I don't really do that. I just jump right in. So let's talk about warming up. Why would you warm up? Well, if you were going to go run a marathon, would you stretch your legs first? If you're going to run at all, would you stretch your legs first? Probably do a little stretching, right? If you're going to do a strenuous physical workout, would you stretch out first? Most people, if you've taken a dance class, they spend at least 45 minutes stretching the body before they dance. Why do they do that? Because if you don't stretch first, there's a likelihood of injury, right? If you're doing this high impact workout and you haven't prepared your body for it, body's like, whoa, what are we even doing here? Your muscles are tight. And then you're jumping right into this strenuous workout. Our voice is a muscle. It's the same thing. We want to prepare the voice to sing. We want to stretch it out. That's reason number one. So it's just getting the blood flowing to the vocal cords. It's getting it ready to do what we're about to do. Also, doing vocal warm-ups is like going to the gym and doing reps. It is strength training for the voice. So warming up before we sing is just getting the voice ready, doing some exercises to help build up that muscle. And we're also targeting some technique during the voice warm-ups. So we're preparing the voice, we're getting it ready, and we're placing it in the optimal position for singing. So we're going to talk more about the warm-ups later today, but that's the purpose. So I ask you, why wouldn't you warm up? Of course, you should warm up anytime you're going to sing. And you're going to notice the difference if this is something you have not been doing. You're going to notice the difference when you start doing it. You're going to notice that once you go to sing your songs, suddenly your voice is moving quicker, easier. You're going to hit higher notes than you normally would pretty quickly because you warmed up. So the rule with warming up generally is we warm down a little lower than the lowest note we're going to be singing, and we warm up a little higher than the highest note we're going to be singing in our songs. So that way, when we get to a high note in our song, it's not the first time we've been there today. We've already been beyond that note. So when we get there, our body's like, we've already been past this today. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so that's a little bit of the mental reason why we warm up as well. We know, I've already sung lower than this today. I've already sung higher than this today. When we get to that point in a song, it's not a jar to our system mentally or physically. Great, so I hope you take that on. I'm going to be sending you a warm-up sequence that's 7.5 minutes long, and I'm going to ask you to do that over the next 3 days. Okay, even if that's the only thing you do vocally, that's still going to be moving you towards your goal, because you're going to start stretching that muscle, getting it prepared to sing. All right, and we're going to talk about the proper technique to use while you're singing as well. So that's something you're going to be getting today in an email from me. Awesome. Tightness in the throat and tension, right? So sometimes we just feel tension in our throat, and that could be one of two things. It could be your technique. So we're going to talk about tension busters later, but it could just be neck tension. And many of us are sitting at our computers all day. We're working from home now, right? So we don't get up and move as much as we usually do. So this can be something you're really combating. tightness in the neck, we want to do neck stretches. And I know this sounds like a lot of preparation to sing, like, holy cow, when do we just get to sing? But these are all things that are going to set you up so that when you go to sing, you're going to be in peak performance mode. Neck tension, if you're feeling neck tightness, you're going to do some neck stretches. You can find those on YouTube, or if you really suffer from this, send me an email or drop it in the chat. I will send you what I do, my neck stretches, because I have herniated discs in my neck. So this is something I battled with for the past couple of years, is feeling like, why is my voice so tight? It was not actually a technique problem. It was a neck tension problem that I was having. So I stretch now before I sing. Add one more thing to the list, but it really helps a lot. Okay. Singing with a cold or with allergies. You know, it's not always an ideal time to sing. We might have to sing when we have a cold. So that's not a dangerous thing to do. It's just more annoying than anything. And if you have congestion, you might hear your voice in a different way than you're used to. And same thing with allergies. And it's totally fine to sing with a cold and with allergies. It just, again, might be a little more uncomfortable. But you can absolutely do that. And I would say, unless you're feeling hoarse, you can sing with a cold or allergies. Not a problem. The congestion sometimes even is helpful. I know that sounds weird, but you, like I said, you can hear your voice in a different way because you have that congestion rattling around. It can sometimes be helpful to your singing. So don't let that stop you. Cold beverages. This is a good one. I'm glad I put this on here. Many of us don't realize that when we drink a cold beverage, it tightens things up. And your voice, like I said, is a muscle. If you're, warming up your voice, warm, notice the key word there. If you're then putting a cold beverage on it, like ice water or whatever the iced beverage may be, you are kind of counteracting the whole warm-up process. And it's just like when you're injured and you're putting an ice pack versus a hot pack. If we're getting ready to exercise, we're not going to put an ice pack on our muscles, right? We're going to do something warm to help warm that up. Same thing with the voice. I would say drink room temperature beverages or hot beverages. That's really great. But avoid iced beverages while you're singing. Any other time, totally fine. If you like ice cold water, no problem. But if you're about to sing or you're singing, keep those beverages room temperature or warm. Doesn't have to be hot, just room temperature or warm. And you're going to notice a difference because you're not seizing up that muscle. You're actually keeping it warm and you're soothing it. Great. Next, we're going to talk about when to see a doctor. Now, I've had a few students that have come to me with habitual hoarseness. They have raspiness in their voice that does not go away. And, some of us have raspier tones, that's fine. But if you go to hit a note and nothing comes out, so if you get to a certain part of your range and you're hearing no sound, that's hoarseness, okay? That can be a problem. And it might be just a minor problem, but it might be something more serious. And I would say, if you're in doubt at all, just go see a doctor. They're going to probably put a scope up your nose and down your throat. And it sounds awful. And I remember the first time I had it done, I was terrified, but it's just slightly uncomfortable. They spray something that numbs your nasal passage so they can get the scope up there. They look at your throat and they'll say, everything looks fine. You're a little swollen. Okay, maybe rest. Or they might say, you know what, you have a callus on your vocal cords. You might want to rest. Or they might say something different, right? I don't want to scare you because most people don't have anything serious going on. It's just a little swelling. But they can be more serious issues like polyps or nodes. And in those cases, you want to know if you have one, because you're going to need to rest properly and maybe get some speech therapy. Hoarseness, that's hoarseness. Laryngitis is something a little different. That usually accompanies a cold, or it's just a throat infection that really attacks the vocal cords. Okay. You go to sing or speak and nothing comes out. In this case, do not sing. Do not attempt to sing. It's just not worth it. This is it's a serious throat infection that singing is going to aggravate. So if you have laryngitis, I would say try not to speak, don't sing, don't whisper. Many of us make the mistake of whispering with laryngitis. That just puts stress on the vocal cords. You're better off just speaking, in a low tone than whispering. But laryngitis is nothing to play with. The more you try to sing with laryngitis, the longer recovery time you're going to have. So take it seriously, get some vocal rest. Your voice will come back. You'll have plenty of time to sing after that. If you have something coming up, cancel it. You're not going to want to play around with laryngitis. And then there's just vocal fatigue. You might just feel tired. And sometimes when you're practicing, you feel tired. That's fine. I would say rest the voice. Your voice will recover from most things you put it through. It's pretty agile, right? It's pretty sturdy. But just start to know the signs. If you're feeling tired, take a rest. You might even have to rest the next day. That's okay. It's just like going to the gym. Sometimes we work out, we feel tired, we have muscle soreness, we rest, it goes away. Same thing with vocal fatigue. Awesome. So now that you're taking great care of your voice, let's talk about our mindset. Now, mindset is just as important as technique. Oops, we're not going to go there just yet. Yes, you're going to get some homework. This is a challenge, right? So we're going to stretch you a little bit this weekend. So your mindset is just as important as technique. We psych ourselves out as singers, right? We tell ourselves all kinds of stories and then we start believing them. Let me just turn this off for a second so you can see me. Okay, great. Hi again. So we psych ourselves out. We tell ourselves all kinds of stories and then we believe them. Like I said earlier, things I hear all the time. The music business is hard. Okay, I don't want that kind of story in my head, right? I'm in the music business. Why do I want to hear that? But people believe this. And then it can become real for you. You'll never be able to make it as a singer, or your voice isn't really that good. Things that I've heard in my life, your voice isn't that strong. Why do people say these things? Who knows? Maybe they're jealous. Maybe that's what they believe. Maybe they think they're being helpful. A lot of times people say things they think it's out of love, but it can actually start this negative spiral in our mind that starts to infect us and trickle into everything. So we have to be diligent in programming our mind. And it's just like anything else, whatever we tell ourselves most of the time becomes the truth. So we want to hit high notes, right? We want to sing in front of people. We want to have the best programming possible to be able to go out there in those situations and believe we can do those things, because they're scary, right? Especially at first, singing in front of an audience is terrifying, or singing a high note and extending it for a very long time can be terrifying, and we don't know if we can do it or not. So we have to really program our brains to believe that we can do those things. So let's talk about your dream. I want to really focus on you for a minute. Now, we all have different dreams. I want you to just close your eyes for a second and get in touch with that dream. Now, there's something that brought you here today, right? There's a dream you have. There's a goal you have. So close your eyes and And just think about that for a second. Now, we've been trained as adults to be really practical, right? Don't dream too big. Don't try to do that. You'll never get there. But I want you to just forget all those rules we learned. And I want you to dream big for a second. I want you to really take the limits off of your dream and close your eyes and picture yourself there. So, what does your dream look like? Where are you? Sit in that for a minute. Are you on stage somewhere? Are you in a stadium? Are you in a nightclub? Are you in a recording studio? Maybe it's a karaoke bar, right? We all have different dreams. There's no right or wrong answer here. So hopefully you have a pen and paper handy. If you do, I want you to write your dream down. And sometimes we dumb it down, right? We're afraid maybe somebody will see this or judge us. Don't dumb it down. Just write down your dream. Okay. Excellent. Now you've written your dream down. Now close your eyes again and go back to this dream. I want you to see yourself as that magnificent singer that you are. So the reason you're here is because that singer is already inside of you, right? We just have to get it out. So tap into that singer, the magnificent, glorious singer you that is inside of you. Go back to that dream and have a look around. What do you see there? What does it feel like in your body? Does it feel exciting? Do you feel electricity? Do you feel joy? Maybe it's peace that you feel. Write down some of those feelings that come with this magnificent singer that is you. If you feel comfortable, you can even post that in the chat. I'm sure we would love to see what it is that comes up for you. Great. When you've written that down, I want you to close your eyes again. Imagine this glorious, magnificent singer you that is confident and in your dream situation. I want you to ask yourself, why am I such a great singer? And that's not a negative question. I want you to ask it in a positive way. Why am I such a great singer? Right? This seems a little crazy, but ask yourself, why are you such a great singer? Why am I such a great singer? Notice instinctually what the answer is to that question. You may have a few answers, and don't judge those answers, just notice them. Why am I such a great singer? Write down what immediately comes up for you. Now, when I did this exercise, what immediately came up for me was because I work hard. That was number one. And number two was because this is my purpose. This is what I feel I was put on this earth to do. Maybe that's what it is for you. Maybe it's something else. But just write that down. Now, when I think of the phrase, this is my purpose, I feel electricity in my body. I feel that charge, right? That excitement. That really resonates with me. And I don't just mean performing, I also mean teaching, just like I'm doing right now. That's exciting for me. That feels really good in my body. I can feel the charge right now as I say those things. So this is going to be something you come back to, reconnecting with the you that is that magnificent singer and the reason why you're such a great singer. Now, most people I talk to in the Singer's Blueprint and when I'm teaching privately, they do feel like it is their purpose to be singing. They want to touch people with their music, right? And whether that's on a small scale or a large scale, it doesn't really even matter. What matters is that we're living our purpose, right? So if you know the reason why you're such a great singer, just put it in the chat or write it down. But we want to find out what charges you up, what excites you. And we want to stay connected to that. Because as a singer, there's going to be ups and downs, right? There's going to be times when we're like, yes, I'm amazing. I just sang in front of 10 people and I didn't have a heart attack. Or maybe I went to karaoke and I sang a song and I wasn't even scared, or I was scared, but it went well. Whatever it is, we want to be able to connect with the reason why we're doing this. So there has to be a reason why you showed up today and a reason why you want to sing. And it might just be, it feels great. I get joy from it. That's your reason. Good. That charges you. So your first homework assignment is to connect to that every day. I want you to, tonight before you go to bed, spend 5 minutes visualizing you as this magnificent singer that you are, connecting to that person and really sitting in that dream, that vision of yourself, wherever that may be for you, connecting to that person for 5 minutes and feeling those feelings of joy or peace or whatever it is for you. Okay, let me just bring my screen up here again for you so we can go to the homework assignment number 1. Use your imagination for good. And you've probably heard this before, right? There are wolves. I'm not going to remember the saying. But basically, we can use our imagination for good or for evil, right? We can help ourselves or we can hurt ourselves with our imagination. Now, my husband's a hypnotist, so I have a lot of experience in this area. Our mind is very, very powerful, and it really does determine the experience we're having. So we want to be very careful of how we use our imagination. If we're imagining us, stage fright, all that is you imagining yourself getting up there and freezing or forgetting what you're going to say or making a fool of yourself or people laughing at you, right? So we want to nix those thoughts. We want to cancel those out. We want to imagine ourselves the way we want to be, which is powerful and in control and, sharing our music in a way that gives us joy. So 5 minutes before bed, you're going to you can lay there in your bed right before you're about to drift off to sleep and visualize yourself powerfully singing in front of people, whatever that scenario was for you. And then 5 minutes in the morning, you're going to do the same thing. Now, the reason I say before bed and in the morning is because that's when our brain is most suggestible. That's when we're going to be able to really latch on to this visualization, this imagination of ourselves, and take it in as truth. So if you can't do it in the morning or at night, of course, do it during the day. That's still going to be effective. But if you really want the most benefit from this, you're going to do it at night and in the morning. So you're here in this challenge. That is my challenge to you. Take this on. Really take it seriously. And I want you to commit to doing this 5 minutes tonight before bed and 5 minutes in the morning. Just get up 5 minutes earlier if you need to. Great. So we're picturing your success. So this gives you something to live into. Success doesn't just happen to you. We have to live into a vision for ourselves. So this is really an important step towards your progress as an excellent, magnificent, powerful singer. And you're going to answer the question, why am I a great singer? Connect to that as well. Awesome. Congratulations, that's your first assignment. So we're going to talk about goals next. Oops, I skipped. I'm still getting used to PowerPoint. SMART goals. You probably heard this before. What are SMART goals? They're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals. So we're going to set some goals right now for you. And why is this important? Again, now we have the vision of ourself that we're living into, right? We have the big vision. How the heck are we going to get there? You're asking me, I'm picturing myself as a great singer, but how in the world am I going to do that? Excellent question. We are going to set goals for ourselves that are specific, measurable, achievable. So they're not going to be ridiculous goals that we're never going to be able to commit to or achieve. Realistic, and we're going to set a time limit for those goals. Okay, are you ready? Now, your first goal is going to be to practice. And this sounds ridiculous and obvious, right? But many people that come for lessons have a resistance to practicing. And I say to you, how can you ever master anything if you're not going to practice that, right? It seems crazy to me that you would, participate in a program or want to be a singer, but not put the time in. But suddenly when we go to practice, we feel this amazing resistance to it. I've experienced this myself. So one thing we can do is put it in our schedule. We want to set the time aside to practice, and it is non-negotiable. We must do this to get to the dream. So your first goal is to put in this week, and I'm going to challenge you to do it over the next 3 days. I'm going to send you a warm-up sequence. It's 7.5 minutes long. You're going to do this every day, okay? And this sounds, crazy, just 7.5 minutes a day, but what I'm doing is getting you used to setting practice goals in small increments of time. I'd rather you practice 4 days a week for 15 minutes than to not practice at all because you think it's going to take so much time. Or do 1 day a week for an hour or 30 minutes. That's really not going to get you where you want to go. You want to get in the habit of practicing regularly. So this is your first goal. So I want you to take out your calendar. I want you to block out 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, and 10 minutes on Saturday to practice. Do these warm-ups, sing through a song. That's your goal. 10 minutes. So put it into your schedule. Pick a time, a specific time to do that. Today, tomorrow, and Saturday. So take a minute to do that. Really be specific about it. Great. Now, if you want to make really rapid progress, put it in your calendar for the next 7 days. 10 minutes a day. All we're doing is warming up with the warm-up module I'm going to send you and singing through a song. So it's about 10 minutes. If you want to go longer, definitely go longer. But at least you're going to do 10 minutes. Great. So you've picked a time. We know we're going to do it for the next 3 days. Excellent. This is your first goal. This is what goal setting looks like. Doesn't have to be massive goals. It's just the small steps that are going to get you closer to where you want to go. So some people think if you're not moving forward, you're just standing still. Is that true? I don't think so. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. So we want to always be taking, even if they're just small steps, we want to always be taking steps. I have a plaque on my wall I'm looking at. It says, be not afraid of moving slowly. Be afraid of standing still. right? We don't have to set giant goals for ourselves, small achievable ones. That's your first goal. So you've put it into your calendar. Amazing. 2020 goals. Good. So what might your next goal be? Set a SMART goal for yourself for 1 month from now. Okay? In 1 month, I will have practiced 4 times a week consistently and learned 3 new songs. Maybe that's a goal for you. Maybe a goal would be I will videotape myself singing a song and sending it to a friend. I will post a video of myself singing on Facebook. What's something that's scary but achievable for you? Now, we're all going to be in a Facebook group together, and I purposely kept this group small so that we can really be intimate without the scariness of having ourselves be exposed to tons of people, right? So there's only going to be a few of us in this Facebook group. I want you to really take advantage of that. Post a video of you singing. If that's something that's scary to you, that might be a really good goal for you. So write down what you can do over the next month. Now you might be saying, how the heck do I achieve these goals? Great. You might need the help of a coach. Yes. Like I said, I have coaches. I have multiple coaches because there's coaches for singing. There's coaches for business, right? There's coaches. Since things moved online, I've been trying new things with my music career to get my music out there. But I have to learn from someone who's done it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I try things, but it might feel like spinning my wheels until someone says, here's the next 3 steps for you. Take them. Get back to me. How did it go? Or here's how you do that. So you might need to find a coach or a teacher that can help you reach some of these goals. Fine. That might be a goal for you. Maybe your goal is find a teacher. Great. So write those down. And we're going to go over some techniques, right, for these warm-ups that I am going to send you. So let me just see if I can share this audio with you. Stop share. 1 second. Share computer sound. Excellent. So let me get that warm-up up for you. Warm-ups. Perfect. Share computer sound. Okay. Great. Now, the warm-ups, again, we're starting with some basic warm-ups, and you might have done warm-ups before. They might seem basic to you. They might seem challenging to you. Everyone's at a different place, right? But what we're really focusing on, it doesn't matter if they're easy or hard. We're just focusing on making progress. And some of these notes might be higher than your voice range. Just warm up to what feels comfortable right now and warm down to what feels comfortable. You don't have to strain yourself. But let's just talk a little bit about proper technique before we go through the warm-ups. Let me just stop the share for a second so I can show you my face. Okay, now what I really want you to think about while you're warming up, we often think of singing happening here in the vocal cords, right? We think about this doing all the work, but I'm going to challenge you to think about feeling nothing here. And that may seem crazy, right? We have vocal cords, of course we're going to feel it here, but when we optimize our singing, we can do it so there's minimal impact on the vocal cords. Like I said, a lot of it is mental work, right? So in your head, in a mental picture, think of the sound coming up and out the front of the face. So we have resonators here in the face, and opera singers are really great at using this area to project, right? In an auditorium with no mics, holy man, how do they do that? They tap into the resonators in the front of the face. This helps project the sound with minimal effort here, right? It's all happening up above the nose. So while you're practicing today, don't just go through these haphazardly while you're browsing Facebook or, you know, doing something else, walking around. Really take the time for yourself in front of a mirror to mentally think about singing up and out the front of the face. Okay. So the first exercise is just getting you in touch with how that feels. It's on the letter N. So we're going to be sliding down the scale. Let's just play. I'm going to share the screen with you now with the audio. Where did that go? Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, welcome. So we're just going to start on the letter N, and we're focusing the sound in the front of the face. We're going to start on and just slide up and down through the scale. Okay, good. That's the first exercise. And again, we're thinking about resonance in the face. You're going to feel a little rattling in the nose and the front of the face when you're doing this exercise, if you're doing it correctly. So make sure you're not using this area. We're just doing it's all right here. Okay, so that's the first exercise, and you're going to go up and down the scale. You'll have a piano accompaniment for that. Okay. Try it right now where you're sitting. And see if you can keep it all right here. Great. That's your first exercise. It's going to go up and down the scale. The next one is going to be counting to 5 and back. So let me just bring that up again so you can hear it. Oops. And just let the voice flip-flop. You don't have to think of... Excellent. Now we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just let the voice flip-flop. You don't have to think of belting this whole thing. It can be nice and light. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when we're singing it, we want to think about singing it like Mrs. Doubtfire. I don't know if you are familiar with Mrs. Doubtfire, but she talks like this. It's in a very hooty, heady voice. So when we're doing this exercise, that's where we want the voice to be. We don't want to be right off the bat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. That kind of defeats the purpose of the warm-up. We just want to ease the voice into singing. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, trying to keep everything right here. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you're like, what is this girl talking about keeping it everything right here? Sometimes we need to hear things or see things or try things a few times before it actually clicks and makes sense. So don't worry, just do your best. And if you're having a real challenge, you know, maybe you can be one of the people I coach on Saturday. Just send me an email and I will try to do some one-on-one coaching with you on screen, okay? But I have a feeling you're gonna get this right away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're gonna go up and down the scale, okay? Awesome. Excellent. Let's take a look at the next one. Share computer sound. Okay. So then after we've gone up and down the scale there, we have another one. Yeah. Good. So the next one we're going to do is on ya. Yeah, and I really would like you to do this one in front of a mirror. Why do I say that? Because sometimes we think we're opening our mouth, but we're not. We're doing yeah. Okay, when we keep the mouth clenched or closed, we feel like we're in control, but we're actually causing unnecessary tension and preventing the voice from going where it would like to go. So I really want you to think about you having a flip top head. I don't know if any of you watch South Park, but there's some people, I think the Canadians have flip top heads, right? So think about that. You're going to just feel like your jaw's unhinged. We're going to really drop that jaw. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so busy poking myself. I'm messing myself up. But really just unhinging that jaw, letting it drop. Okay. And we're also thinking about air. Now, we need air to sing. If we're preventing that air from flowing through by trying to be quiet, maybe we have neighbors, or trying to control it, we're going to prevent that nice, open, free feeling and sound. So when we're doing the ya exercise, we're sending the sound in the air up and out against the next wall, right? We're dropping the jaw, and you're really watching for that open mouth. You want it to be almost as if you're biting an apple. So it's not like yeah, it's yeah, yeah. It might feel really strange at first, but I beg of you, take it on. You're going to notice an immediate difference when you start dropping your jaw. And of course, we don't have to sing all the time that way, but especially when we get into the higher notes, we're going to need that openness to send that sound out, to send the air out, and to give ourselves space to hit those notes. So, yeah. Try it right now, dropping the jaw more than you think is necessary. Good. And when you do that one, look in the mirror. Awesome. And again, if you're having challenges with any of these, just send me an email and we'll see if we can get you on Saturday to do some one-on-one coaching. Awesome. So there is one more exercise in this series. Let me share with you. 1 second. Let's see if I can put right word zing, really focusing. Okay. Last one. There's the yas. Now we're going to do zinga, 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 zing. All on the word zing, really focusing on letting the sound resonate in the front of the face. So we're waking up those resonators and hanging out in the ing part so we can really feel what that's like as we go down the scale. Here we go. Zinga, 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 zing. Good. So, whoops, stop share. Okay, so we have zinga, 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 zing. We're just feeling the resonance in the front of the face as we go down the scale. And don't go down any lower than you feel comfortable with. But you're going to want to just keep the placement of the voice right here. Okay, excellent. So let's just do a quick recap. Assignment number 1, we're going to use our imagination for good. We are going to spend 5 minutes before bed and 5 minutes in the morning, right? And we are going to visualize ourselves as our dream singer. And we're going to answer the question, why am I a great singer? So you're going to take that on for the next 3 days at least, right? You're going to start tonight. You could even start right after we're finished here. Awesome. Assignment number 2 is to set some practice goals. Hopefully you already did that. You're going to warm up at least 4 times in the next 7 days. You're going to put it in your schedule. You're going to write down your month goal. If you're feeling super ambitious, you can write down your 2-month goal. Excellent. Awesome. Recap. There it is. Recap. So we're going to practice good vocal health starting today, right? We are going to be purposeful in the stories we tell ourselves. We're going to use our imagination for good. We're going to connect with our dream, connect with our why. We're going to set our weekly and monthly goals. And we're going to move forward, even if they're baby steps. We're going to do the homework, and we're going to have fun. Awesome. Let me see if I can stop this screen sharing. Great. I thought I was screen sharing there, but I guess I wasn't. Let me bring that screen up for you again. Share screen. There we go. Practice good vocal health. Be purposeful. Just take a minute to look at that. Awesome. So I'm going to send you the homework assignments. I am going to also send you the vocal warm-ups. So be on the lookout for that today. Congratulations, you have finished day 1 of the challenge. And you are on your way, guys, to vocal mastery. Awesome. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any questions, concerns, you can feel free to send me an email. All right. I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.